I'm your host, Davida Shinsky, and you're listening to Live Without Limits, Dreams Come True with the Right Mindset. And today's presentation is the victor and victim mindset and how to control and flip the script to take back control of your life. We are all subject to life's inevitable, harsh conditions and challenges. It could be the weather, culture, gender, stereotypes, or genetic predispositions, to mention a few. So, hence, we are all faced with a myriad of implements or impediments, yet what differentiates each of us and the quality of life that we ultimately lead is our mindset. And before I go on, one of the things that I need to say is things that influence that mindset depends on the things that you've been constantly told over the years and how you bought into it and whether or not you accepted it or whether or not you rejected it and changed. Now, I come from a family that was very, very dysfunctional. My older sister was born with a disability, just mainly deaf, but we lived in a city where there were no deaf schools because we were born in an era when society did not really accept its disability community. So she was always having to be shipped off to school in New York City. And that, since that's where my mother was from, her family was all there. So when she would go home on weekends, she was shuttled from one home to the other and never made to feel that she was accepted or wanted. And no one tried to learn to communicate with her in sign language. So that made her feel even worse because she didn't want to accept herself for who she is. And then eventually, as we all got older and went out on our own, basically education became her only way of interacting with people. And eventually, when my mother decided that she wanted to move down to Florida after and get out of New York City, well, what happened then? Well, then she basically shut my sister off from whatever life she ever really knew. And now she's 72 years old and she's very depressed and is just like sleeps away the day and is just waiting to die. And I know people say it's laziness, but I don't think it's laziness as much as because she really had no life outside of my mother the last few years that my mother was alive, that she just doesn't know what to do with herself and doesn't have the encouragement or the support systems from other family members to help her. And the difference is that even though I have cerebral palsy, that my background was to be very introspective, very outgoing, to get the support from other people or the few friends that I had. And therefore, what happened was it was just